Kublai Khan, born Kublai and also known by the temple name Shizu, was the fifth Khagan of the Mongol Empire, reigning from 1260 to 1294. He also founded the Yuan dynasty in China as a conquest dynasty in 1271, and ruled as the first Yuan emperor until his death in 1294. Kublai was the fourth son of Tolui and a grandson of Genghis Khan. He succeeded his older brother Möngke as Khagan in 1260, but had to defeat his younger brother Ariq Böke in the Toluid Civil War lasting until 1264. This episode marked the beginning of disunity in the empire. Kublai's real power was limited to China and Mongolia, though as Khagan he still had influence in the Ilkhanate and, to a significantly lesser degree, in the Golden Horde. If one counts the Mongol Empire at the time as a whole, his realm reached from the Pacific Ocean to the Black Sea, from Siberia to what is now Afghanistan, 1/5 of the world's inhabited land area. In 1271, Kublai established the Yuan dynasty, which ruled over present-day Mongolia, China, Korea, and some adjacent areas, and assumed the role of Emperor of China. By 1279, the Mongol conquest of the Song dynasty was completed and Kublai became the first non-native emperor to conquer all of China. Early years. Kublai was the fourth son of Tolui, and his second son with Sorghutani Beki. His grandfather Genghis Khan advised Sorghutani chose a Buddhist Tangut woman as her son's nurse, whom Kublai later honored highly. On his way home after the Mongol conquest of Khwarezmia, Genghis Khan performed a ceremony on his grandsons Möngke and Kublai after the first hunt in 1224 near the Ili River. Kublai was 9 years old and with his eldest brother killed a rabbit and an antelope. His grandfather smeared fat from killed animals onto Kublai's middle finger in accordance with a Mongol tradition. After the Mongol conquest of the Jin dynasty, in 1236, Ogedei gave Hubei to the family of Tolui, who died in 1232. Kublai received an estate of his own, which included 10,000 households. Because he was inexperienced, Kublai allowed local officials free rein. Corruption amongst his officials and aggressive taxation caused large numbers of Chinese peasants to flee, which led to a decline in tax revenues. Kublai quickly came to his appanage in Hubei and ordered reforms. Sorghutani sent new officials to help him and tax laws were revised. Thanks to those efforts, many of the people who fled returned. The most prominent, and arguably most influential, component of Kublai Khan's early life was his study and strong attraction to contemporary Chinese culture. Kublai invited Huayan, the leading Buddhist monk in North China, to his ordo in Mongolia. When he met Huayan in Karakoram in 1242, Kublai asked him about the philosophy of Buddhism. Huayan named Kublai's son, who was born in 1243, Zhenjin. Huayan also introduced Kublai to the formerly Daoist and now Buddhist monk, Lu Bingzhong. Lu was a painter, calligrapher, poet, and mathematician, and he became Kublai's advisor when Huayan returned to his temple in modern Beijing. Kublai soon added the Shanxi scholar Zhao Bai to his entourage. Kublai employed people of other nationalities as well, for he was keen to balance local and imperial interests, Mongol and Turk. Victory in North China. In 1251, Kublai's eldest brother Möngke became Khan of the Mongol Empire, and Khwarezmia and Mahmud-Yalavach and Kublai were sent to China. Kublai received the viceroyalty over North China and moved his ordo to central Inner Mongolia. During his years as viceroy, Kublai managed his territory well, boosted the agricultural output of Henan, and increased social welfare spending after receiving xin. These acts received great acclaim from the Chinese warlords and were essential to the building of the Yuan dynasty. In 1252, Kublai criticized Mahmud-Jalavac, who was never highly valued by his Chinese associates, over his cavalier execution of suspects during a judicial review, and Zhao Bai attacked him for his presumptuous attitude toward the throne. Möngke dismissed Mahmud-Jalavac, which met with resistance from Chinese Confucian-trained officials. In 1253, Kublai was ordered to attack Yunnan, and he asked the Dali kingdom to submit. The ruling Gao family resisted and killed Mongol envoys. The Mongols divided their forces into three. One wing rode eastward into the Sichuan basin. The second column under Subutai son Yuan took a difficult route into the mountains of western Sichuan. Kublai went south over the grasslands and met up with the first column, while Yuan traveled along the lakeside from the north. Kublai took the capital city of Dali and spared the residents despite the slaying of his ambassadors. The Dali king Duan Xingji himself defected to the Mongols, who used his troops to conquer the rest of Yunnan. Duan Xingji, the last king of Dali, was appointed by Möngke Khan as the first Huzi, a local ruler. Duan accepted the stationing of a pacification commissioner there. After Kublai's departure, unrest broke out among certain factions. In 1255 and 1256, Duan Xingji was presented at court, where he offered Möngke Khan maps of Yunnan and counsels about the vanquishing of the tribes who had not yet surrendered. Duan then led a considerable army to serve as guides and vanguards for the Mongolian army. By the end of 1256, Yuan had completely pacified Yunnan. Kublai was attracted by the abilities of Tibetan monks as healers. In 1253 he made Drogon Chogyal Phagpa of the Sakya school a member of his entourage. Phagpa bestowed on Kublai and his wife, Chabi, an empowerment. Kublai appointed Lian Zizhan of the Kingdom of Kachou the head of his pacification commission in 1254. Some officials, who were jealous of Kublai's success, said that he was getting above himself and dreaming of having his own empire by competing with Möngke's capital Karakoram. Möngke Khan sent two tax inspectors, Alamdar and Lutaiping, to ordered Kublai's officials in 1257. They found fault, listed 142 breaches of regulations, accused Chinese officials and executed some of them, and Kublai's new pacification commission was abolished. Kublai sent a two-man embassy with his wives and then appealed in person to Möngke, who publicly forgave his younger brother and reconciled with him. The Duists had obtained the wealth and status by seizing Buddhist temples. Möngke repeatedly demanded that the Duists cease their denigration of Buddhism and ordered Kublai to end the clerical strife between the Taoists and Buddhists in his territory. Kublai called a conference of Duist and Buddhist leaders in early 1258. At the conference, the Taoist claim was officially refuted, and Kublai forcibly converted 237 Duist temples to Buddhism and destroyed all copies of the Duist texts. Kublai Khan in the Yuan dynasty clearly favored Buddhism, while his counterparts in the Chagatai Khanate, the Golden Horde, and the Ilkhanate later converted to Islam at various times in history, Böke of the Golden Horde being the only Muslim during Kublai's era. In 1258, Möngke put Kublai in command of the Eastern Army and summoned him to assist with an attack on Sichuan. As he was suffering from gout, Kublai was allowed to stay home, but he moved to assist Möngke anyway. Before Kublai arrived in 1259, word reached him that Möngke had died. Kublai decided to keep the death of his brother secret and continued the attack on Wuhan, near the Yangtze. While Kublai's force besieged Wuchang, Yuan joined him. The Song minister Jia secretly approached Kublai to propose terms. He offered an annual tribute of 200,000 taels of silver and 200,000 bolts of silk, in exchange for Mongol agreement to the Yangtze as the frontier between the states. Kublai declined at first but later reached a peace agreement with Jia. Enthronement and civil war. Kublai received a message from his wife that his younger brother Ariq Böke had been raising troops, so he returned north to the Mongolian plains. Before he reached Mongolia, he learned that Ariq Böke had held a Kurultai at the capital Karakoram, which had named him Great Khan with the support of most of Genghis Khan's descendants. Kublai and the fourth brother, Il Khan Hulagu, opposed this. Kublai's Chinese staff encouraged Kublai to ascend the throne, and almost all the senior princes in North China and Manchuria supported his candidacy. Upon returning to his own territories, Kublai summoned his own Kurultai. Few members of the royal family supported Kublai's claims to the title, though the small number of attendees included representatives of all the Borjigin lines except that of Jochi. This Kurultai proclaimed Kublai Great Khan on April 15, 1260, despite Ariq Böke's apparently legal claim. This led to warfare between Kublai and Ariq Böke, which resulted in the destruction of the Mongolian capital at Karakoram. In Shamxi and Sichuan, Möngke's armies supported Ariq Böke. Kublai dispatched Yuan Zizhan to Shamxi and Sichuan, where they executed Ariq Böke's civil administrator Lu Taiping and won over several wavering generals. To secure the southern front, Kublai attempted a diplomatic resolution and sent envoys to Hangzhou, but Jia broke his promise and arrested them. Kublai sent Abishka as new Khan to the Chagatai Khanate. Ariq Böke captured Abishka, 2 other princes, and 100 men, and he had his own man, Algu, crowned Khan of Chagatai's territory. In the first armed clash between Ariq Böke and Kublai, Ariq Böke lost and his commander Alamdar was killed at the battle. In revenge, Ariq Böke had Abishka executed. Kublai cut off supplies of food to Karakoram with the support of his cousin Khagan, son of Ogedei Khan. Karakoram quickly fell to Kublai's large army, but following Kublai's departure it was temporarily retaken by Ariq Böke in 1261. Yizhou governor Li Tan revolted against Mongol rule in February 1262, and Kublai ordered his chancellor Shi Tianzi and Shi Shu to attack Li Tan. The 2 armies crushed Li Tan's revolt in just a few months and Li Tan was executed. These armies also executed Wang Wentong, Li Tan's father-in-law, who had been appointed the chief administrator of the Central Secretariat early in Kublai's reign and became one of Kublai's most trusted Han. Chinese officials. The incident instilled in Kublai distrust of ethnic Hans. After becoming emperor, Kublai banned granting the titles of and tithes to Han Chinese warlords. Chagatai Khan Algu, who had been appointed by Ariq Böke, declared his allegiance to Kublai and defeated a punitive expedition sent by Ariq Böke in 1262. The Ilkhan Hulagu also sided with Kublai and criticized Ariq Böke. Ariq Böke surrendered to Kublai at Xanadu on August 21, 1264. The rulers of the Western Khanates acknowledged Kublai's victory and rule in Mongolia. When Kublai summoned them to a new Kurultai, Algu Khan demanded recognition of his illegal position from Kublai in return. Despite tensions between them, both Hulagu and Böke Khan of the Golden Horde at first accepted Kublai's invitation. However, they soon declined to attend the Kurultai. Kublai pardoned Ariq Böke, although he executed Ariq Böke's chief supporters.